Assalamualaikum, I am Hendy Irawan. I will show you how to integrate FusionAuth, SSO or single sign-on with MongoDB Realm for custom JWT or JWT authentication. Okay, so MongoDB Realm has a way to authenticate users, and one of the ways is you can see here anonymous and so on, and we also have custom JWT authentication, and when we want to edit we can use this, and there is a signing algorithm, only two is supported, HS256 and RS256. So this is a shared secret, and you can also see the documentation on MongoDB website. Okay, so how to do this? So when this works, a user can log in to FusionAuth and then getting a token, getting an access token. So an access token is a JWT token, and then using that token log into MongoDB Realm. All right. So first, what we need to do is we need to create a key. So we go to settings and then to key master. And then let's create a key, and that would be a HMAC shared key. Okay, and then so we can name this key and choose the algorithm, and this is the only one supported by MongoDB Realm at this point. Okay, and then we generate it. Okay, and now we have this shared secret. Okay, so when we have the shared secret, to see it, there needs to be a secret there. We can click view, and the secret is not displayed, and then you can click here to reveal. I will click it, and then I will copy to a note on a clipboard. Okay, so after we have created the shared secret, what should we do? We can go to the tenant. So you can create a new tenant. I will use this Lovia staging tenant here, and I will edit this tenant. And I go to JWT, and I will only use this key for access token. So I will choose this one, Lovia staging shared secret, and I will save it. Okay, so from now on, all of the users that sign in to this tenant will get an access token that is signed by that shared secret, okay, using HS256 algorithm. So how do we test this? To test this, I'm going to create a very simple Node.js project. So I'm going to open, create a new project. FusionAuth, MongoDB. Right. Then I am going to create a new JS project with InDesign. Okay, this will be simple. I want to use TypeScript, and I just want to enable InDesign and nothing else. Okay, so I'm going to start this. Need to install yarn extension. Right. Oh, I need to install this first. Okay, so it installed, so now I can run this. Right, now let's open this one. Okay, so this is my simple app, and now I want to put a form in here. Okay, so I put the form, right, and there is this example. This is what I want. All right, I'm going to put this on my page. Okay. Okay, everything. I think we just need this one. Right. Okay, so this is the default. Now we have some the forms here. Okay, since I copied the wrong code, I just copy it manually here. Okay, so it seems the default Lumia.js template is using an older version of Ant design. So I'm just gonna update this one. Okay, so I hope this is working fine now. All right, and let's check it out. Okay, so at least now we have this one. So we should do something when clicking this. Right. Now to access FusionAuth API from React, I'm going to use FusionAuth TypeScript client. Okay. So to make it easier for me, so I'm just going to install this. Okay. Of course, I can also use Axios to manually connect using the REST API, but this makes it easier. And then I also have typings, yeah, and also code completion and also type safety. Right. So now with this TypeScript client, you can see that you can just create a new FusionAuth client. Okay, and then now I have this client here. Okay, and I will need an API key and also host and tenant ID. So for login, I'm just going to use null. And I'm going to use the tenant ID that I have. Okay, I think it requires a key. Maybe I'm just going to use now as any, if possible. All right. So put it as a client. So now when I click this button, submit, so it will call unfinished, and unfinished is success, and then the values here. So let's try it. So what happens if I do this and then do this, submit? Okay, so I have this username and also password. Okay, actually this will be username or email. I usually use email here. Okay, so now we have to use these values, trying to sign in, and then use this FusionAuth client. And there's a login. The request is as expected. We have the login ID, and that is the email, and also the password, and yeah, that's the password. Now let's see what we have there. If we use this one, okay, this should be async function, and then I get a response here. I'm just going to put everything, and basically what we need later will be this token. All right, so now let's try it. I'm going to make sure that I have a proper user. Okay, so I'm going to try to log in with the test user that I have. I will put this into verbose, clear it first. Okay, this is a very insecure password. Submit it. All right, so I have 405. So what is 405? If we see here in FusionAuth API, okay, we have authentication, and okay, when we log in, then login is here. Oh, login is here. Okay, and if we log in and we get 405, 405 means that there is no response code that is 405. I think it's maybe because the user is not verified. Method not allowed. Okay, so it says here that there is not likely a production use case where you want to omit this value. So let me use the application ID. So this is the ID that I need. I'm going to put it here. Make sure that we have it. Okay, so let me try again. Let's hope this time it works. Okay, still 405. So let me check the network request then. Okay, so what's weird here is that it's actually using a get instead of post. Well, if you see from the login API, this should be post API / login. So I'm not sure why is this like this. It's probably a bug in FusionAuth TypeScript client. But if I check the source code of FusionAuth client, it correctly says that this is with method post. So maybe let me try to use empty string instead of no here. And maybe this makes a difference. Nope, it's still get. I think I know why, and it's because we have a slash here. Let's change it, and hope this time this will work. All right. So at least now we have something. This is failed to get it because of 401. No response. Okay. And 401 is that okay, the header was omitted. So it seems that this is because if you use application ID, then authentication is required. All right, so to skip all the details about that, I will just not use application ID, but again, it's because I don't want to set up a API key just for login here. So let's try again, but in the production case, then you will need to set up specific API key just for login, and then put application ID there. All right. So we have test, and then we have password. Okay. So all right. So now we have it, and it seems that needs to change the password. Trying to use another user, or I need to make sure that this user can be logged in first. Okay, so I'm going to use a user that is verified. All right. Okay, so now we have a token here. Okay, so when we have a token here, now we can use it to log in into MongoDB. All right, but first we need to configure the authentication in MongoDB. So here we need to enable this provider, and then oh yeah, and I have to create a new secret here. So I can make it a name, share secret here. And then I can change this key here. Okay, so I'm going to use my key that that I get from FusionAuth. This is the HS256 key. And the other things that is optional, right? So you can learn more about this and how to use an identity provider. So this is required. So this one is the inside the JWT, and this one is what's inside the field name in MongoDB collection. So let's see what kind of data that FusionAuth gives to us. So if I have this token, I can go to tweet, and I'm going to see what is inside this. Right. So this is the payload. All right. So this is the expiration date, and this is the issuer, and this is the ID of the user in FusionAuth, and also there's email. All right. And as you can see here, the signature is HMAC-SHA256. So now we can configure this in our auth provider in MongoDB. So the user's ID is sub, and the field name is _ID, and for the email is email. The field is also email. You can see here, and then we have a preferred username, and in our collection this will be username. Okay, so how about audience? If we see here, we don't have audience, so I'm going to leave this empty. Okay, so it seems that the audience must be set. It cannot be empty. So let's set the audience to not be empty. Okay, so since the out field is always required, so that means we will have to log in using specific API key and also specific application ID. So I'm going to create an API key just for logging in. So we can go to the settings and API keys here. Okay, so now I have an API key just for logging in. This one is not exactly a secret because it's only used by the client. And then I also specify the application ID. So let's see what happens if I try to log in there. Go here and I log in using my verified user. Now also log in the password. Okay, so now I get this token. So let's see what happens if I put this token. Right, so as you can see now, I have an audience, and also I have other things like rows here. Okay, this one is the same as the application ID. So I go copy the application ID and I put this in the audience field in MongoDB Realm. All right, so I can save this. Okay, an error. All right, so invalid secret name. All right, that's weird because I can create it before. Okay, I will create a new one then. Okay, is there error? Which one? Okay, so metadata field ID. Okay, I think we don't need this one. Yeah. Okay, this key already exists. Okay, of course, I just created it. Okay, save it. All right. Okay, so how it works is after we have configured it, when it tries to log in, then it will create a new user here. Okay, so I would say that here I should set the email. I should set the email, and that the email would be the name. Okay. All right, then I'm just going to use the preferred username here as name. Okay. Then I can deploy this app so I can then use it from my React app. Okay, so now I'm going to use it. So to use the Realm SDK from React, I'm going to use this web SDK. So we can see here, can set up one, and then this is the dependency that we need. Okay, so after the dependency is done, now we can import the Realm app, Realm SDK. And then we configure the app ID. Get it from here. And then the next one is that I create this app. Okay. And then configuration is my Realm app ID. All right. And after I get this, then that means I can then do Realm app login. And the payload, as you can see before, I'm using this one. Okay, so I need to log in now. Right. Okay, so first we get the realm.credentials.jwt. So we have this credentials here, right? The credentials, and the JWT we get from response.x that token. Right, so we assume that this is there, and then we authenticate. We log in as, okay, so we log in as that credentials directly. All right. So let's try logging in to Fusion MongoDB Realm using these credentials. And so see, Realm user now is this one. Okay, so let's see if this works. Now we try to log in using the app. Submit. Right, so we are now logging in. So as you can see here, the credentials is using custom token here in the payload. And then we are getting this Realm user. As you can see, now we have an ID, and this ID is the Realm user ID. Okay, so this is auto-generated by MongoDB Realm. It does not have to be the same as our own user ID that we use, but if we see here, that means we have the data. I think the data is here, right? Okay. So if we see here, there is this data, the email name and username, and there is also the identities. So the identity here is this one. Okay, so that's nice. I think I should have put the ID here inside of the data just to make it much easier to access. Yeah, so I think it's probably a nicer way if I can just put it like this as the SSO ID. Okay, for the next time. Okay, but I can do this again because it always refreshes. Yeah, so I can relog in again, and then I get this Realm user. And if you see the profile, oh, I need to deploy first. Okay, forgot. But nice thing is that MongoDB Realm is a very fast deployment, so you can just make a bit of change and then deploy it. So we see, try again. So we get a Realm user, and in the profile, we have this data, and I have this SSO ID here, so it's very easy to find. Okay. So now, if I want to link that to another collection that we have, so we see here. Now there is this test verified user. Okay, this is the user in Realm. So this is the files that I'm using now, and also the provided data. If you see here, there's this email, username, name, and also SSO ID. So it makes it easy to check what users are available here. Okay, and then if we want to store custom data here, now we can check this. So if we have our own database in our out collection, so we can see that the user ID that will map the custom data to a user account ID. Okay. So that means I can say like Realm user ID. Okay. So that means that the user in our own custom user collection will have a field called Realm user ID, and it will be stored there. All right. Okay, so I hope this is useful for you. Thank you very much, and see you on the next video, and also deploy it.